Hello, 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 and welcome to the Coaxum Report. My name is Terry Coaxum, and I am truly delighted to be joined today by Hilda Hall. And Hilda, how are you, my dear?
I am wonderful. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. So, Hilda, just so you know, the Coaxum Report, we're you're going to be able to see us all over. You can catch us on Roku, on Amazon, on Fire TV. It'll also rebroadcast on Tempo, and you can listen to us now on the radio at WSTX Bloomberg. So I'm sure your friends and family will be able to see this rebroadcast. So talk to me. Who is Hilda Hall? Hilda, where do you hail from? Talk to me about some of the barriers to your success.
Definitely, definitely. I am a Jersey girl. I am from Paterson, New Jersey. Paterson girl all the way through and through. I presently live in South Florida. I'm
Okay.
here in Sunrise, Florida. A lot of folks may know it's right near Sawgrass Mall, one of those big malls. If you're a shopper, you understand
Yeah,
where I
if you
am.
need some retail therapy.
Exactly. I mean, I just walk out the door, so I'm thankful.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, so I've been down here for a number of years, since '98, and it was so different moving here from being up
Oh
north.
yeah.
We have different systems, and you had to learn how to navigate because here the language barriers and the different things, the opportunities were not so easily to seek out. But I finally found my niche, which is more so in the nonprofit, technology development, business
Mhm.
development arena, and most of those opportunities didn't require me to speak a second language, which was difficult, So, with that being said, this is how I've been able, to move around here and
Awesome,
make those
awesome. So tell me a
connections.
little bit about. I know you have you're what we call a serial entrepreneur. So you have
Yeah.
several business that you are working in and working on and empowering and encouraging other people through. So I want to talk a little bit about the business that you're in. You're the president of a small business doctor. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, hold on now. We got a doctor in the house, right? So talk to me a little bit about how you got to that space where you created this wonderful business to kind of really empower our small business. I tell people all the time, it's not just starting your business, it's understanding and being able to master your back office, right? And so, what does that mean? I mean, I know you know because you're the doctor's in the house. So, before we get to that, though, tell me how you got from New Jersey to South Florida, which is a total different animal. And I gotta say, I did the reverse. So I came from South Carolina to New York, and
Oh,
you're coming
okay.
from you're coming from New Jersey to South Florida. So tell me a little bit about that journey, and then I want to talk about some of the barriers for you as a small business doctor, some of the small
Mhm.
business that you're working with now. Want to kind of help them understand. So this show is all about talking about the barriers, the access, and then the big ideas. And we end with solutions. So
Yeah,
wherever they're listening to us in the world, I want them to understand that they can do what Hilda Hall is doing as a small business
exactly.
doctor
Exactly.
and also working on your nonprofits, which is really great. I want you to talk a little bit about that when we
Mhm.
talk more about your best practices and your big ideas. So tell me
Okay.
about this transition from Paterson, New Jersey to
Well,
South Florida.
it was a really personal and dear to my heart. My mom, her family is from South Carolina. So we
Ah,
came through. It was New Jersey, South Carolina, then here.
oh
So, I stopped
wow.
by.
Stop in and say, hey, no, I'm
Yeah,
not staying here.
exactly.
No.
Exactly. It was a little difficult to navigate things there. But my mother, it was my mother had retired early, and my grandparents needed her there. And I decided, like, I'm not going to have children, and my children don't know my mother, but and see her
Right.
only once a year or something. So that's how we just picked up and we said we're going.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and my
So it was a
ex-husband,
family affair. It was a
it
family
was
affair.
wonderful. And my mom was so, she was so astute with so many different things. And she opened the doors for us, and she actually, gave us a down payment on our house. So she made it easy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great, great mother, great mother. I miss her. I miss
Awesome.
her.
Awesome.
So we were able to move there, and the history in South Carolina was great because my grandfather was well known. Politically, he had started the
What's his
railroad.
last name?
McGill. Our
Miguel.
family's
Okay.
McGill Browns,
Okay.
and we were in King Street, South Carolina, little
Okay.
town, little
That's
country
right. Little
town,
small town, a
little
whole
small
bunch of
town.
churches and a stoplight. I understand.
Exactly. But yes, but my grandfather was known for bringing social services to the
Nice.
community, and it just made the transition there easy. And I started, I had already worked in nonprofit and doing a lot of things up north. So when I moved down, I immediately became a director of Head Start because I had that
Nice.
background, and I worked with the migrant Head Start, so it was wonderful. My
Nice.
ex-husband was an aircraft mechanic. He couldn't
Yes.
find any opportunities. So we were able to get an opportunity here in Miami. So of
Nice.
course the family leaves. He gets an opportunity, and we ended up here. And from there, I just started. Let me tell you a funny story. Being the Jersey girl that I am, I'm like, how am I going to get a job down here in Miami? I saw a job online. I walked into the gentleman's office and I said, "Hey, I saw your job online and everything about the job is me." And he said,
He's
he
like, you're
looked at
real
me.
bold.
Yes, he did. And he's in Florida City, way down near the Keys. So he's looking at me. And so I said, "Yeah, this is my job." And he's like,
You
"I
just
won't be
don't know it yet. You don't have
exactly."
an idea, but
He
let
didn't
me help you
understand.
understand how this
He
is my
didn't
job.
understand this Jersey girl. So I told him, I said, and he says, "Well, I'm not going to interview yet. The job won't be ready for like 2 months." I said, "Perfect. That gives me time to go home, pack, and be back." So,
You're real bold. She like,
yes, I did.
and so
And he just,
I don't
and
think
he
you
looked
understood what I said. I said this is my
the
job.
job. He stopped everything and he said, "Okay, I'll interview you." So he interviewed me and he looked and he said, "Yeah, you're the one. I'll let you know, reach out to you, let you know when the job starts." I said, "Okay, cool. I'm going home." So I went back home and he called me and said, "Hey, your job is ready." I said, "I'm on my way," and we moved.
Wow. First of all, what you're saying to me is don't be afraid
No,
to
no,
take a chance on you.
no,
And you're
no.
also talking about your tenacity and your confidence. Like you were confident that this was your position. And not only were you confident, you let him know that it was your position. It kind of reminds me of the story of Henry Ford
Hmm.
and Edwin Barnes and how he took this ride from New Jersey, Orange, New Jersey,
Yeah,
to Orange, New Jersey, to declare to Ford that listen, I come to go into business with
with
you.
you.
I didn't come to work for you. I come to go into business with you. And he was looking like a vagabond because he had taken like the freight train to
Yes.
Orange, New Jersey because he didn't have enough money to get there. And he ended up going into business with Henry Ford. I mean, so I'm listening to you. I'm like, yeah, yeah,
It
that's
is.
Jersey.
It is.
That's
And
Jersey.
it's amazing because that was 1998. And he has been my mentor. He's been my friend. My trajectory has put us in places where I actually took on positions as president of nonprofits. And when I left, they hired him. So
Oh
I thought, I was like, this is
wow,
amazing to see the growth and to see him follow me now, you know.
that's right.
But coming here, I was able to, I guess, again, having that drive that is inbred, I believe, from being, from where we are. You learn how to get out there and not, to be fearless in order to make it. And I was able to learn my way, get involved. It's so important to network and to learn where your tribe
That's a
is.
nugget.
Mhm. You have to find your tribe. You have to find the people that are similar to you and aspirations are similar. If someone offers you an opportunity to join a board, even if you're scared, join the board because that opens up so many different opportunities. And that's what happened to me. I
Wow.
with my background, I had a lot of social services background. Of course, I told you I had the
I'm
head
not
start.
surprised because your grandfather.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And another caveat also was my aunt, because of my grandfather, my aunt became the first African American woman to run the Department of Social Services in South Carolina for the
Wow.
entire county. So
Wow.
I had that, to ride
Right.
on her shoulders.
It was in your
So
DNA. It's definitely in your
exactly,
DNA.
exactly. So when I came down, I started
So it
working.
makes sense that you're the small business doctor then.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you that when that one came about, it was amazing. But to just basically, I joined the board. I was working for the YMCA. I got an opportunity to work for them. And I had the background in daycare because I'd worked for Head Start in South Carolina.
That's right.
And, so when I came down here, I thought I was going to just transition into Head Start, but I found out Head Start here is totally different. They don't adhere to the same guidelines as everyone else. I think that's a nice way to say it. And even though I was an award-winning Head Start director in South Carolina, when I came here, I was like, "Whoa,
He was like,
no,
what is this?
no, no."
Yeah, they
So
do things different in South
yeah, so that
Florida.
wasn't that wasn't where my path. So I had to kind of carve another space out. And the Y was a great home. The YMCA taught me so much.
Yeah, and I love the Y. I think the Y
Yes,
is truly a gem
yes,
in
it
our
is.
neighborhoods. My children, my elder children, my 33-year-old, my 27-year-old, they both learned to swim at the Y. My 13-year-old grandson, he learned to swim at the Y. My baby now, that's 5, he's learning to swim at the Y. But more
Exactly.
importantly, there are always these activities and trainings and workshops, and they pour back in the community. And so
Hmm.
I do find the Y to be a gem. And so, yeah,
They are, and they are, and as an employee, they really, really, really support you, and
awesome.
they push you towards greatness. The Y is associated with Springfield College.
Oh,
Springfield College out of Boston is this. It was a YMCA college, and that's where basketball got started. So I was able to later on, I learned that, and they really support you with going back to school. So that's how I ended
nice.
up getting my MBA through,
Nice.
through Springfield College. So I'm saying, wherever there's an opportunity, it took me a long time for those that believe that, you didn't get out of college and go straight. I didn't. I didn't get a lot of stuff was happening. So I
Life is life.
life. So it took me a number of years to get the BA and then finally go get the MBA, but I'm here. So
Great. So you
yes,
have an MBA and an MPA?
not an MPA, just an MBA right now.
Okay.
In organizational leadership, I have the bachelor's, and the MBA is in nonprofit development.
Nice. Nice, nice,
Yeah,
nice. Okay.
and I
Awesome.
love it. I just really love it. But to go back to how did I become the small business doctor? I on the same board that I was a part of with this, nonprofit that had been around for over 30 years. A congresswoman, she had retired,
Mhm,
Congresswoman Carrie Meek, and
mhm.
she had brought a lot of money into the community for through NASA for business incubation development. And she had started a facility. I was working with our organization. They told me to go over there and learn about business incubation. I'm like, what? What is it? I don't know. So when they sent me, I'm like, I don't know. And I actually ended up at the organization. I started talking to them. I started learning so much.
That's
I was
right.
the only one that looked like me. And I left my company who had sent me over there because the other organization was funded through NASA because of
That's
Carrie
right.
Mee. And they told me that they had a position and it was closer to my home. And I took a demotion because I was the president at the time. And I
Wow.
said, you know something, sometimes you have to listen to what God tells you.
Mm,
And it's so hard to be obedient when
mhm.
you're at that time I was at $50,000, and my husband and I are no longer together. I'm a single mom, and they offered me a position as the director's assistant at
Right.
35,000. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But it was an opportunity to work in this business incubation track, which was not, something
That's
new for
right.
me and exciting.
That's right.
And it was technology driven. And we worked with rocket scientists from NASA to introduce technology to small businesses.
Right.
So I took the opportunity, I left my job, took this one. And as God would have it, I never worked one day as this woman's assistant. When I came to work, I had just left my other position and I came to work and I said, hey, I'm here. It's the holidays. I took off early. I want to learn some things before we start January, the beginning of January. She said, oh, they didn't tell you I quit. I said, what?
Oh,
I said, well, who am I working for? She
where
said,
they do that?
she had quit. She quit. And she said, well, you're gonna be here by yourself. I said, what? And when I spoke to the director, he says, oh yeah, let me see how you do for 90 days. And in 90 days, I blew him out the water. All my years MBO, management by objectives, I had completed in 90 days. I was sitting there bored. I was working with rocket scientists and all these other scientists in
Hmm.
technology development. And I'm like, oh, this is, it's so quiet. um, you
Right.
know, and I learned so much, and I started connecting with the local politicians and everything. And in 90 days, I had increased my salary by 20 plus $1,000. I
Hmm.
became the director of this
That's right.
company because
That's
God
right.
had me never work one day as her understudy.
Right.
I
Right.
walked in as a
But
director.
it was your time and it was your opportunity. So I want to back a
Exactly.
little bit because you talk that like you're glossing over it. But these
Mhm.
are all that when I'm hearing your story, I'm thinking about the barriers that could have held you back, but instead of them holding you back, you took a chance, right? You were tenacious, you were bold, you identified the opportunity, you walked into it, you were able to move, right? So
Yes,
you were ready. So you didn't have to get ready. You were already ready, right?
yes,
But you've
yes.
dropped some nuggets, and I love to kind of highlight some of those. You talked about your network, the importance of your network, the importance of your connections. You nurtured those relationships. They weren't relationships that you just were introduced to. You made
Hmm.
sure that you nurtured those relationships down the road. And then you talked about not just having that one opportunity, but multiple opportunities as you did what you were supposed to do. And so sometimes folks look at you and they go, "Oh, you're at this place." No, I worked to get here. And so there were these barriers that could have held you back from being who you are right now, but you decided to use that skill and all of your skills collectively because you have the MBA and you ran this organization and you were able to take that now into this new business, into being the small business doctor, understanding a few things, understanding when you're starting a business, when you're in a business, when you're developing a business, and when you're helping folks with business, there's a couple of barriers in that, right? So there's a cash flow. And then if you get a contract, you have to make sure that you're able to sustain yourself until you're paid through the contract, because they don't tell you you may get a government contract or you may get a government grant or a government contract, but there's a period in between where you're not going to be getting paid right away. And so you have to be ready for that, right?
Hmm.
Then, if you are going into this contract, you have to make sure that your back office
Yes,
is right. Because
yes.
when you get that contract, the other thing that they don't tell you is you don't get a do over. When you
No,
get that grant, the other thing they don't tell you is you don't get a do over. So you have to make sure that every single dime is put in the place it's supposed to be put in. And then if you're
exactly.
audited, they need to be able to follow the money. And in order for you to continue to be successful in receiving grants and to
Yes,
continue to be successful when receiving contract money. So those are all things that could be barriers, but
they
you were
are.
able to turn those things into an opportunity to be
Yes,
able to train and develop these other entrepreneurs so that they are successful as well. So you took everything that was given to you and you made it an asset for others. I don't want to gloss that over because the small business doctor in itself is a best practice, is a big idea. Like
thank you.
you literally went into this saying, okay, so these are the things that happen in my career, and here are the things that I'm going to be able to give back into others so that they can make their business a success. So I just want to pause and get
Thank
that out
you.
before we.
Thank you. No, and of course, just like you're saying, it's true. There were so many bumps in the road. I learned by trial. You learn under fire.
That's right.
I made the mistakes. I had to learn how to audit. And one of the things that is just really hard in the nonprofit community is that people do, some folks that already know how to write the grants who've been successful, they're
Right. Right.
not as open as they should be.
That's right.
And I went to people and like, how do I write this? What do I do? No, you have to go out there and you have to get it. So I didn't want anyone else to have to go through this. So I share. I share
Well, that's a
budgets.
best practice. Sharing is
Exactly.
another one of those best practices.
Exactly. And that's what I had to do. And that was one of the reasons why the small business doctor started. Because when I was working, and, when you're in this realm and you're under all of these government entities that are
That's right.
funding you, it really teaches you, because they're looking at the audits. You get the audits, you get the daily reports, you get the MBOs, again, management by objectives. You get all of these things that you are responsible to show that this money that you've received, that you're utilizing it, and you're managing it successfully. And then,
So
of
now tell
course,
me how what
mhm,
are some of the systems that you have in place to kind of help others do just that? Because I know that you're
mhm,
successful in what you do. We talk all the time, and so I want the listening audience, especially those that are in this nonprofit space, that are going after these grants. So the first thing that you're saying is share these,
mhm,
and I tell people even in the government contracting space, there is enough of this pie for everybody. Everybody can eat. So you don't
thank
have to
you,
take the
thank you.
entire pie. One, you don't have the capacity to take the entire pie, and you don't get a do over. So let's collaborate so that we all can be successful in this process, right? So what are some of the systems in place, because believe it or not, we're coming to the end of the show, but I want to make sure that
Mhm.
you're getting out there. What are some of the systems in place that you would recommend for our entrepreneurs that are in that nonprofit as well as for-profit space, being that you had an opportunity to work with both groups? What are
Mhm.
some of the systems? What are some of the tools and the tips that you can give the listening audience about how to be successful and stay successful in those spaces?
I would say the main thing is that to recognize for my nonprofits, and I let them know, and I offer a course, and it's called Nonprofit is Your Tax Status, Not Your Business Status.
Oh,
Remember, you are a business and you
yes.
must operate like a business.
Yes,
So people have to have a checklist. They have to have a budget, a
that's right.
realistic budget. You may not get everything that you need out of one grant. Don't diversify. Do not sit and get comfortable because you get one grant or you get one
That's
funding
right.
source or you get one great contract, because that's what happens on the for-profit and the nonprofit side. We get one good client and then we're sitting there like, hey, it's gravy. You don't think about tomorrow. So continue to work and set aside one day a week where you're bringing additional funds. And you also have to set aside a day in the week so that you can actually think about, your 5-year plan. Saying, I know they talk about business plans. I'm the worst at it. You understand? And I'll be honest, but there still is a projection. You still have a vision. You still have to understand
That's
where you
right.
want this business to go, and
Mhm.
set aside that time. Make sure that your time, that you realize that people cannot just waste your time. So you have to get comfortable enough and value yourself enough to say that, these people are time wasters. What I started doing, it took time for me to realize that to talk to me, for you to get to talk to me is valuable.
That's
So
right.
you need
Because
to pay me.
you do not get your time back. And I tell people all the
No.
time, I wrote this book called
Hmm.
Busy Woman's Guide to Inner Peace.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
part of it is no. No is the complete answer. You don't need an explanation.
Thank
So
you.
you don't have to take all of your time and spend it in somebody. And
Mm,
I guess I shouldn't say this, but I used to tell my kids, your piss poor planning is not my emergency.
exactly.
So
Oh
you
my
can't
God.
take what you're not doing and drop it in my lap and make it my emergency, because I'm not going to
Exactly.
drop my stuff to do what you're doing, because then that means that that time that you just talked about that I needed to take, that I set aside to do the things that I need to do to be successful, I just lost it and I don't get that back. We can get more money.
Exactly.
We can't get
Exactly.
our time back. So we have to
Exactly.
value our time just as or much as we value our money.
Exactly. And that's exactly what's happening, because people get a lot of people in their ears, and you do on a daily basis, and people call and they want your information, and they're just trying to, gather information. They're not interested in doing anything with you. They're not interested in helping you make money, and so what you have to really determine that, listen, this is how I eat. Quick. I know we don't have, I had a young man who was calling me. He had a cake business, and he kept calling me because he knew a family member. He kept asking me questions. So I had to say to him, I said, sir, have you ever given me a cake for free? I've always purchased your cakes, right? He says, yes. I said, well, this is how I feed my family. You feed your family with the cakes. I feed mine with this. So to continue to talk to me, you have to pay me just like I pay for your cakes. He stopped calling.
Right.
because
That
he asked
part.
me, he said, how much do you charge? And when I gave him a fee, he backed off
That's
because
good.
these folks do not want, they're just here wasting time. But in regards to the business, it's just organization. None of us are perfect. It's still trial and error. It's definitely reaching out to other folks and not being fearful,
That's
asking
right.
for assistance, not to operate in a bubble because there's nothing new under the sun. God tells us that. We continue to see that. I don't care
Right.
what you have created, even if it's the best, new item in the world, someone else, it's somewhere. So
That's right.
there's someone that you can go to and respect your elders, folks who've been in the game for a number of years.
Hmm.
And wherever they are, I have a mentor. He's 70 plus years old and he's always in my ear telling me, you need to do this, you need to do that, look at this,
Right.
look at that. And I know he aggravates the heck out of me, but
But he's always dropping knowledge.
exactly. So wherever you can get it from, and just go out and seek more. I just took a class. I write grants, and I took a class the last couple days on mini grants because I'm like, there's something new. I
Yeah.
don't know. There's something someone else knows that I don't know that will help me to grow to another level. So never,
So another thing
never.
that I want to make sure that people understand is invest in yourself. Invest in yourself,
Exactly.
invest in your mind, invest in your knowledge, invest in your skill set, right?
Yes.
So don't believe that how it started 10 years ago is going to be the way that we continue. You also talk about diversifying. So making sure that you diversify, making sure you're not waiting to get paid, but you're actually doing something every week to get paid. And then one of the other things that you said that we don't really think about, but you have to plan. Because if you
Mhm.
don't plan, you're going to plan to fail, right? So
Exactly.
you're saying put a plan together and understand how much you need. Like
Thank
understand your budget, understand how much you need, and then go from your plan to get what you need. And don't let people be time wasters, taking away from your energy and your delivery because you're not able to deliver
you. No.
if someone's continuing to just suck the air out of you, picking your brain, so to speak. I had a client that said, as soon as somebody say picking your brain, I just want to pick your brain for a minute. She hang up on.
Whoa, you know it.
She
Exactly.
said, so you won't be no picking of the brain. She said, I'm at a point in my life where I am doing what I need to do to get to the next level. And I don't have time for folks that want to pick my brain and not pay and not compensate me for the
Yes.
time that I'm spending on just on doing that. And
Correct.
so, and we all have those people in our life
Yes, we
that
do.
that
Yes,
will
we
do
do.
that.
Yes, we
My
do.
mom is good at sending me folks.
I thank
My
you.
daughter can help you.
Yes. I get that all the time. My friend can help you. My friend can help you. And then you sit there and it's like, no.
Yeah, an hour later, you look at that
Yeah.
time like, what
Yeah.
just happened? So
Yeah.
this has been a great conversation. I know we're gonna have to come back on. We have to get you back on because you have so many great nuggets talking about networking and opportunities and small business, technology, back office, cash flow, grants,
Yes.
government
Right.
contracts, having
Mhm.
your back office straight, making sure you're doing your taxes, making sure you're marketing, making sure you're investing in yourself and in your mind, making sure that you don't have people that are wasting your time. And one of the things that I do, my phone stay on silent
Mm.
because I taught my kids a long time ago. My phone is for my convenience, not everybody else's convenience.
There
And
you
so
go.
when I
There you
need to
go.
do something, I set aside that time. And now these little smart technology, you can put focus on for 1 hour a day. Like Hilda said, I wanna focus on my business 1 hour a day. And you can set focus on your phone and you will not be disturbed and you'll be
Exactly.
able to sit and do what you're supposed to do. So Hilda, I just want to thank you for taking the time
Thank
to
you.
be on a Coaxum report to really give us all these great nuggets, even though you try to gloss over them because we had limited time.
Time.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of great information in what you're doing. And how can folks find you, the Small Business Doctor? What is the way that they can find you?
My website is the small biz doctor.com.
Okay, awesome. So
Yes.
folks can go on and see what services you have to offer, especially grant writing. I get asked about grant writing all the time, and so I'm sure folks are going to reach out to you about that skill because that truly is a skill set in that grant writing space. And so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to sign off and leave one last nugget
Hmm.
with our listening audience. So what would that be?
The one thing I would say is, well, really quickly, I started a class for grant preparedness
Hmm.
because people start a nonprofit and then they think that immediately they're going to go get grants, and they're not prepared. And that's with any business. So, I would love for people, if they're interested, to reach out to me in regards to that. But the most important thing is to not, talk yourself out of being as great as you are. There's no opportunity that's too great for you. You just have to do your research. You have to learn and operate from here and with God.
Right,
Whatever
and
he
you
tells
just said something that really just kind of stuck out in my head, and I really want to
you.
say it because you said it first. So your price is your price.
That's right.
You said you're great, and so operating your greatness, which means your price is your price. And if folks are not able to pay your price, then they're just not your customer. So thank
Exactly.
them very much for their interest in your product, but your
Exactly.
price is your price. And so that's a way to make sure that you are being compensated
Hmm.
correctly and rightfully for all the work and energy that you put into the project. So I want to thank you,
Exactly.
Hilda, for being on the Coaxum
Thank
Report,
you.
and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have a good
Thank you.
day.
You
Take
too.
care.
Take care. Bye bye.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dance, oh, don't stall, better get tuned in to the Tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't Tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.